Hey, Nelson, do you want to get started?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. Hey, so welcome everyone to NAACL and welcome to this panel on getting into NLP research and grad school applications. So I guess we'll get started. So as a high level overview, the structure of this panel is going to be, we're going to give a quick brief introduction for around 10 minutes, and then we're going to have a roundtable with our moderator and our panelists, which will be around 45 minutes. And this will sort of center around how do you get into NLP research, like graduate degrees, what sort of careers there are in NLP, and also the future of NLP as a field. And then for the last 15 minutes, we'll have an open Q&A with the moderators and the panelists, and you can ask questions through Dory. The link is bit.ly/grad_school_NLP_questions. And these slides are also online. So that's at bit.ly/getting_research if you want to follow along or click the links. So without further ado, so I'm the host. My name is Nelson Liu. I'm a PhD student at Stanford, and I'm also one of the NAACL 2021 Student Research Workshop student co-chairs. And we also have Luca with us. Do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Luca. Use pronouns he, him. I'm an applied scientist at Amazon Alexa, as well as the social chair for one of the two social chairs for NAACL 2021.
Great. Is Pranav with us as well, or?
Pranav will be hosting the other session.
Okay, cool.
Well, contributed a session that I invite everyone to join that one as well. Is tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. PST.
Great, awesome. Thanks. So with regards to getting into NLP research, there are a few different ways to get involved from the offset. So if you're a student, I think one natural sort of avenue to look into first is research opportunities at one's own institution. So maybe at your university, or if you work at a place that does some NLP research, that's also a great first place to start. There are also various affinity groups in AI and NLP that sort of host basically opportunities to get involved in research and work with people around the world. Examples of these are Masakani, Queer in AI, Widening NLP, Black in AI, and Latinx in AI. And lastly, over the last year or so, especially during the pandemic, there has been more sort of like collaborative NLP initiatives. So for example, there's the Hugging Face community initiatives. And you can check those out by going onto their forums at discuss.huggingface.co. And also Luther AI is a distributed research organization that's focused on large-scale language modeling and studying how to scale them and their societal impacts. So with regards to what the sort of like typical PhD application looks like, and typical is in scare quotes here because there really is no typical PhD application. It varies pretty significantly by university and country. So I would advise you to check official websites for the latest up-to-date information. But in general, there are sort of like 3 or 4 high-level components. The first such component is the statement of purpose, which is essentially a letter to the admission committee in which you explain why you're interested in doing a PhD and what your qualifications are. So Nathan Schneider has a great blog post up where he sort of walked through what readers look for in a statement of purpose from his experience as someone who's been reading them. And that's at bit.ly/what_SOP. So that's the first component. The second component is letters of recommendation. And these generally support your application, and they're from faculty or senior researchers that you have a personal connection with. So like, for instance, you might have taken their class, worked on a project together, etc. And also some schools might ask you to take exams like the GRE or the TOEFL, and some schools might not. So you should check with the school that you're applying to and make sure that to see whether they require it or not. And also you need to sort of like submit your CV and transcripts usually. And Noah Smith has this great PhD applications FAQ document that you can access at bit.ly/FAQsmith if you wanted some more details. But this is just a high level overview, and we'll get into more details with our moderator and panelists. Do you want to briefly discuss the mentorship programs?
Yeah. So other ways, getting into grad school, maybe it's complicated getting into NLP research, especially if you are a member of a minority group, an underrepresented group. So there are several mentorship programs that various affinity groups run in NLP. Just mentioning a few of them here. So I'm one of the organizers with Queer in AI, and as well Pan and Willie, who are going to be in the panel, are with Queer in AI. And Queer in AI runs a program for undergraduates where it's a year-long mentoring program where you can find a community of queer researchers who want to get into NLP or AI. We just had the first session of this mentoring program yesterday. We had Sabrina Bulga from Johns Hopkins to give the introductory talk for that. The session was recorded and it's on YouTube, but it's going to be an ongoing project. So I invite you to join and participate if you identify as a member of Queer in AI. Similarly, Black in AI has a mentorship program. We have a link here to their mentorship program, as well as Widening NLP, which is an initiative in NLP open to all underrepresented groups in NLP. They run several initiatives at each NLP conferences, and in conjunction, typically with their annual workshop, which this year, if I'm correct, is going to be at EMNLP. They have a mentoring session, so you can check the one out as well. Another initiative from Queer in AI that we'd like to highlight in this panel is Queer in AI runs a program to financially support LGBTQ folks in their application. It's a joint initiative between Queer in AI and OSTEM, and it's designed to remove financial barriers for STEM LGBTQ students. So not only open to NLP or AI students, but anyone in STEM. The way it works in practice, we offer refunds for a lot of the fees associated with applying to grad school, such as the grad school application itself, or any cost associated with GRE or TOEFL tests, or other generic expenses that you might incur while applying to grad school. The program currently refunds up to $750 per individual. And you can also opt in to have a senior member of the Queer in AI community to review your application material and give you feedback in terms of like both about your questions specific to your identity, but also like if you want information about where you can improve your application as well, we can do that as well. We are just wrapping up our 2020 cycle for this, ends in about a week. And then by the end of the summer, we are planning to reopen for 2021 applications.
Cool. Another initiative that we want to highlight is the ACL student research workshops. So the ACL hosts these student research workshops at many major NLP conferences. So think NAACL, ACL, EMNLP, EACL, AACL, etc. And at a high level, the goal is to sort of enable student researchers to present their work and get constructive feedback and mentoring. And it's a great way to sort of like get more involved with the ACL community if you've been working on some research. And it's generally highly recommended as a first target workshop for many student independent researchers. And one of the biggest perks is that you get to present during the main conference sessions, and you have your travel and your registration subsidized. So it's a great way to sort of like get involved, meet new people, and sort of like see what's out there and learn what there is to learn, I suppose. So with that, we'll move on to the panel portion of this seminar, and I'll hand off to our moderator, Samira. I'll stop sharing my screen. I think you want to.
Thank you. Yes, I will share my screen. Hopefully this is visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so really excited for this panel. We will start us off with some brief introductions. I'm going to start off by introducing myself. I am Samira Shaikh. I am an assistant professor at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. I do NLP research, mainly focusing on dialogue agents and the social aspects of language. And I am very grateful to be a senior D&I chair this year at NAACL, along with all our amazing D&I committee. I'll pass off the baton to Abhilasha Ravichander.
Hi, I'm Abhilasha. I'm a current PhD student at Carnegie Mellon University. My research is mostly about improving the generalizability of some of our natural language understanding models. So I think a lot about how should we evaluate models, how should we construct benchmarks and that kind of thing. I'm from India. I was very lucky to be able to get into NLP research by joining CMU as a master's student in 2016, and I started my PhD in 2018. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Abhilasha. Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Liz Salesky. I'm a second year at Johns Hopkins. And yeah, I've had a kind of circuitous journey. I found NLP late, worked for 5 years in the area, did a master's, and then moved schools. So I guess I've had experience at various different points that people might end up applying and getting into NLP research. But yeah, my work is mostly on machine translation of text and speech.
Thank you. Yes, Pan.
Okay, thank you, Samir. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Pan Xu, and my pronoun is he, him. I'm a PhD student at UCLA, and my research is centered around machine learning with a special focus on the theoretical analysis and applications for non-convex optimization algorithms, reinforcement learning, and data science. I'm also a career in AI organizer, and I'm mostly involved in the graduate school application programs Luca just mentioned. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Pan. Phu Mon Htut.
Hi everyone, my name is Phu and I use she, her pronoun. And I'm a PhD student at New York University, and I work on application of transfer learning methods to NLP and analysis of transfer learning methods, such as like transfer learning models and data sets, and like to understand how and why they work or fail. So before my PhD, I did my undergrad in Singapore, and I also worked for like a few years in industry as a research engineer before joining NYU.
Great. William.
Hey, I'm William Agnew, he, him. I'm a fourth-year PhD student at the University of Washington. My day research is on 3D reconstruction and modeling with applications to robotics. And then my night research is on ethical AI, including applications to NLP. Before I started my PhD, I was an undergraduate in discrete math at Georgia Tech. And I like coupled together a research program with Georgia Tech, which doesn't have like a super strong tradition of undergrad research. Yeah.
Great. Welcome all. Okay, so as Nelson and Luca mentioned, we have put together these slides and have questions on them. The questions are broken into 4 main themes. And so I'll start off with the first theme, which is graduate degrees in NLP. And please do go ahead and submit your questions on the Dory, and we will get to those. Okay, so yes, this first question is to Pam. Is doing a PhD advisable? How do you decide that you want to get into grad school?
Yeah, so I would say it depends. So for my personal experience, I mostly applied for statistical programs when I was an undergraduate student. But I get admitted to machine learning programs, and it turns out that I am attracted to machine learning more than statistics. So I think I'm lucky that I applied for machine learning, but I also regretted that I didn't have the chance to learn more about machine learning research during the undergraduate and or did any master experience. So actually, I worked with many other students who found that the master experience is valuable to people who can do research with professors and also make the decisions 1 or 2 years later, whether they want to do this kind of research or whether they want to apply for other schools or whether just want to go to the industry. And also, but for master programs, it is a lot of money investment. So actually nowadays for undergraduate students, they also have many opportunities to work with the professors in their institute or apply for some summer intern in a big lab to gain research experience for the graduate school application. So I think so. So the takeaway is that you can get involved in research and learn it with the people in your department and to decide it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great takeaway. Okay. Oh, this next question is to me. What do you think sets apart a strong application for graduate study? So as somebody who has been on both sides of this equation, first as a grad student myself, and then now as a faculty member who reviews grad school applications quite a bit. The key thing that I would say that sets you apart is the statement of purpose. So I would really recommend having a strong statement of purpose, having some idea about what you want to do, why you want to do it, because if you think about it, doing a PhD is a commitment to yourself of getting into research and spending 4 or 5 or however many years of your life with a school and most importantly with an advisor. And so there's always this talk of fit, whether your research trajectory fits with what your advisor's trajectory is, because if it doesn't, then there's a potential for all kinds of mishaps to occur along the way. But if there is a great fit, then it leads to a very wonderful experience for both the advisor and the advisee. And so you as an advisor, I really want to be invested in making sure that the student would succeed, and that setting that apart, setting that expectation is the statement of purpose. In terms of grades and other sort of quantitative measures like GRE and TOEFL scores, those I would say are secondary. Really having a strong statement of purpose and having good recommendation letters. So from people who can speak to what your potential is, because it doesn't matter if you haven't had a publication yet or you have not had a chance to engage in research. But if there are people who can write those recommendation letters and talk about those things, about the potential that you have, then I think that also sets apart the application really well. Okay. The next question is to Phu. What are the criteria to keep in mind while choosing a graduate school, a research group, or a PhD advisor?
Yeah, I'm going to echo what Samira said just now, and going to say that it's like important to consider whether you like the topic that the people in your lab, the potential lab, are doing, and like what your advisor is doing, because there is a chance that you are going to work on a very similar topic, and if you don't really like this topic, you're not going to be very happy like working on these topics. So that's like one of the most important thing. Another important thing to me is whether you're a good fit to the people in the lab and the culture of the lab, because you're going to spend the next 5 years with your advisor and your lab mates. So if you don't really fit into like the lab culture, and if you don't really like the people, the personalities and so on, you won't really be happy. For me personally, my advisor and my lab mates are really very supportive and very understanding. So I am really happy where I am. Yeah, and I think another thing I usually consider is like how many other professors are there in the department who are doing NLP other than your professor, because like it's good to have like other professors and mentor who is giving you like additional advice and giving you different viewpoints. And another thing I personally consider is the location of the university. I think it might not be very important for some people, but I think it's kind of important for me because I'm queer and I kind of want to live in a city that's like gay friendly and so on. So like a city which is kind of conservative might not be like a good place for me. Yeah.
Yes, those are some great points. Choosing your lab mates, talking to your lab mates also beforehand would be a good idea. Okay. This next question is to Liz. How do you structure this statement of purpose or research proposal?
I mean, of course, this is going to vary by, school and what you want to do. And, in some places, particularly outside of the US, these are two separate proposals as well. And we kind of often combine them in the US. But I guess one really awesome resource that I've found perhaps after actually applying myself is, as Nelson mentioned at the very beginning, Noah Smith's points about structuring a research statement. And there are a number of grad students, including, for example, Nelson, who posted their statements, often with commentary on what they wish they had done instead, which is very useful as well. But I guess what I'd like to say is for me, I kind of fleshed out a timeline of what I'd done and why I did it. And I think in actuality, probably a good way to do this is to show that not so much a specific concrete plan, but like that you've engaged with some different like talking about what you're interested in, why you're interested in it, and showing that I guess sorry, I had a note about this, showing I guess what types of things make you excited about a particular research area, because we all understand that of course your research is going to change. So I think the 4 things that were listed, for example, on Noah's blog post were like showing some type of distinctive idea, sure, but also an awareness of what else is out there and what you think about it, and what you're looking forward to in the future as opposed to what you've already done, which is in your CV. So I guess if I were writing it now, I think I'd probably follow those in, as a structure. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
It is quite helpful. Thank you. Okay, this next question is to Abhilasha. How much do grades and publications matter during the application process?
Yeah, so I'm also going to echo what Samira said earlier. Publications are, from what I've seen, I've never actually served on an admissions committee, but from what I've observed, publications are not absolutely necessary. It seems like grad committees are trying to judge if students can, kind of turn the corner into doing independent research after having just taken classes in undergrad, and publications can act as like one source of strong evidence that this is something you're capable of, going through the research cycle and dealing with the stress of major conferences. But they're not the only source of evidence, and strong letters of recommendation, like Samira said, are probably even more important. But that being said, I think for at least for US universities nowadays, it's pretty helpful to have had some sort of research experience.
I'm sorry, can people still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think we may have lost Abhilasha.
We might.
Okay. I was wondering if it's just me who has dropped off. There is a thunderstorm going on here, Charlotte. Okay, so Abhilasha, are you still here?
I think she dropped.
Yeah,
we can maybe go back to her later.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the next question and pose it to William. What were the most useful resources in getting into grad school? What tools did you wish you knew before you were applying?
Yeah, I'd say the most useful resources were my friends and mentors. Every application is going to be different, so having experienced people to read over your application and give lots of comments is invaluable. So, grad students, professors, even just other undergrads kind of in your cohort or coworkers also looking at applying. Tools I wish I knew about before applying. I can't think of any like nice tools out there. Like I had a bunch of spreadsheets of like the 20 things I was applying to, and that kind of helped keep me sane. Yeah, I don't know if people have specific tools they're thinking of, but I would say, yeah, definitely, your mentors are vital in building out that network. And like all three people who are writing your letters of recommendation should also be looking at least one, but probably several versions of your application materials for you.
Definitely, yes. Mentors and your network is a great resource. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay. So this next question is to both Abhilasha and Phu. Experience of applying to grad school in the US as an international student is pretty different. And how can we help make this process better?
Yeah, I think in many, like from my experience, a lot of Asian universities are more like industry focused. So the curriculum is very industry focused, and most computer science programs are like more focused on teaching software engineering skills than research or theoretical skills. So a lot of students there might not have research experience before. So I think the initiatives that we are doing with SRW and other affinity groups in ACL would be really helpful for those students to like find mentors and research experience on their own if they don't have those kind of opportunities available for them at their university, I think. Yeah, so these kind of initiatives are really helpful. I think also for many students who don't live in our English-based teaching environments, I think writing SOP and research statement might be a little bit difficult for them if they're not very strong in English. So I think they're like some university, including Stanford and NYU, are doing things like resume and application reviews. So those kind of programs are really helpful for them. I do have a sort of eye that's going to give them feedback. Yeah. Other than that, I cannot really think of anything else.
Yeah, those are some great resources. Having access to those, and or at the very least knowing about it, that there are organized efforts out there that can help review your materials before they are submitted. That would be great. I don't know if Abhilasha, you're back.
I am, but I think Phu nicely covered a lot of the main points. I think it's very similar from India and like most Asian universities. The lack of access to research experiences is something that I guess affects how competitive your application is, and the competition is quite intense for research opportunities in India. Yeah, so those programs are great, and it's also great now that everything's remote. There are also more kind of remote research collaborations happening, which is also nice. The other factors, I guess, are financial factors. A lot of students in India who want to apply to grad school usually take a year off to work so that they can afford the application fees, because though it might be like smaller in dollars, when you translate it to Indian currency, it's actually a prohibitive cost to apply to many schools. So it's great that schools are waiving the GRE requirement, and it's great that Queer in AI and other groups are offsetting some of these costs. But yeah, there are still financial barriers and immigration restrictions, because visa processes give lots of hoops to jump through.
Yeah, I agree about financial barrier also. I also like take a few gap years to work.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so this next question is to Luca, William, and Pan. What challenges do queer and marginalized folks face when applying to grad schools, and how can we help? So maybe Luca, you can start us off.
I will play the panelist for a second, I guess. Yeah, it varies a lot depending on like where you apply, and both which country you're from and where you apply. It's everything from could be from a societal point of view, like if the country you apply has particular laws that are non-favorable to downright discriminatory towards queer people, that could be a problem. There's also a question of the specific university you apply to. I have individuals who are downright terrible for folks who identify as queer or as queer. So in terms of like how one can navigate that, I think affinity group can play a role. We all have exposure to NLP, specifically to the community, and so we can definitely guide towards, as Phu was mentioning, schools and cities and places that are more welcoming for queer members, and for anything that it comes down to coming from countries where it might be hard, that might be discriminatory towards queer people. Affinity group again can offer support. In general, I can speak of Queer and I that we really love to help and be that bridge that can get queer folks into research. So definitely do get in touch with affinity groups.
William or Pan, would you like to add something to this?
Okay, yeah. I think Luca has made the major point that I think connecting with the queer AI community has made, has been a very important part of the for a PhD student and for an undergraduate student when you're applying for PhD programs. So as a queer student and the marginalized folks, you often it's the time that you don't have enough role models to learn from, to learn when they share when successful PhD application students, they share their experience and something. It's harder to get some people who stand in your perspective and understand your constraints and can give you advice from your based on your experience. So that's why connecting with the affinity groups will help a lot when you talk about this application with the people from your similar identity, and in the group they will. So for example, so we mentioned the Queer AI graduate application programs. We have two programs. One is for the financial reimbursement, so we can reimburse your application fee and other test, other exam test related fees. But also we have another mentoring program which we recruit reviewers from the community, and they are successful PhD applications. So they have already applied, or maybe they are professors across the world. So they can give you advice on your application materials. And also if you want to connect with specific people who have a specific identity, we can also help to connect you with them to review the materials, and also schedule some meetings to give some advice. So that would be really helpful. Yeah, and I think and lastly, I think for this program, actually for people here, if you have already successfully applied to a graduate school, actually we need you. You are very welcome to join our program to become a reviewer or a volunteer to help other people. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe I'll just add, yeah, application fees are a huge barrier. $1,000 plus is very difficult. Even if you're in the US, elsewhere it can just be, months of essentially living expenses. I guess specific to queer people, many queer people are not financially supported by their families anymore. So they don't have that to draw upon. For queer people, I came out during college. A lot of the people that I've mentored have come out or transitioned or done other pretty major life changes during college. It's a busy and stressful and emotional time. And if you're marginalized, you're often going through similar things. You may not have the time or capacity to do research. And it's, getting into a PhD program is hard. You really have to be going from the start and working a lot to do it. I would also say getting into a school that is going to treat you right. There are a few rare schools where you just know that this is going to be awful for me, or locations where this is going to be awful for me. I'd say more common are kind of these fair weather friends, where they're going to have postings on Pride Day or Pride Month or whatever. But if you end up being mentored by a homophobic professor, they aren't going to help you. And the Whisper Network exists, but it's not going to help you if you're an undergraduate. So I think departments really need to start demanding that the professors be good mentors. And if a professor isn't able to like meet the basic level of making people feel safe and feel comfortable, then they don't need to be a professor anymore. Yes, that's all.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. This is great. And Pan, sign me up as a volunteer reviewer. I'm happy to help do my part as an ally. So let's see. Now we are getting to our second bank of questions. And this is actually getting into NLP research now that we have established that that's a integral part. So how do you get into it? So this first question is to Abhilasha. How do you conduct and manage online research collaborations, especially in current circumstances?
So this is a really good question, and I can't say I've completely figured it out. But in some ways, there are fewer geographic barriers now because everyone is to some extent far away, not taking time zones into account. The thing that somewhat worked for me is to try to put as many things on automatic as possible so that people don't have to think about it. If you have a meeting, schedule a regular meeting with the same Zoom link instead of doing ad hoc meetings. Even if you have to like cancel a few or reschedule a few, it's just easier because everyone has like so much going on. Also, documenting things has helped a lot for me. So just documenting overall goals of the project, how much progress has been made, things like that. But I guess overall, it is a very difficult time for many people, and there are many other events happening across the world, which kind of compounds all the difficulties of the pandemic. So to some extent, research is not the most important thing. If people are going, if your collaborators are going through things, it's pretty important for there to be some kind of shared understanding. Yeah, it's fine if projects are a bit slow and things, it doesn't matter. At the same time, if you are in a position to do so, it's good to be as transparent as possible with your collaborators. Most people are nice, and if you are having some kind of difficult circumstance and you're in a position to communicate it, it's just better, and you can also communicate. You can also manage their expectations, so everyone's happy.
That's a great point. Yes, open and transparent communication, because sometimes people just don't know what's going on, and just knowing that would help a lot. That's a great point. Okay. How does one keep up with the latest research and papers?
So I personally use a combination of Twitter and Archive and Google Scholar. So I think a lot of people follow the same. So I follow many researchers in my research area on Twitter and Google Scholar. So there are like many researchers who usually post like their new work on or papers on Twitter, and also sometimes there are like a lot of interesting conversations going on about research and related areas on Twitter. So it's like good to observe like all these conversations and keep up with like what's happening in the field. And I think as for papers, I subscribe to Archive mailing list. So for people who are new to research, Archive is a website where people can go and upload their papers, but these papers are not necessarily peer reviewed. So and they send you email every day about the new paper submitted to the website. So you can just like go through the mailing list and like read through the title of the paper and probably the abstract and see whether this is like related to your research. And if it's related, you can go and read the paper and so on. But as I said, it's not necessarily peer reviewed. So some paper can be, like not really good. So you need to like filter that on your own. And other than that, I use Google Scholar and I follow people on Google Scholar, and sometimes they recommend me papers. Yeah.
Yep, those are some great resources. Thank you. Okay, this next question is to Liz. When and how did you get into NLP research?
Yeah, so I kind of fell into NLP by accident. I know particularly like in smaller schools, for example, like we didn't have a class on NLP until a visiting professor happened to teach it my senior year. And so I had no idea this existed until senior year. But I think, you know, when the opportunity finds you, I guess, trying to reach out to get to see if that person can maybe suggest more opportunities and things like that. That's how I got into it. So at the end of the term, I said that this actually seems like a very good mix of the things I was actually majoring in, and asked if there was a project I could do to learn more. And so one thing is just continue to lead to another for many years now. But yeah, so that's how I did it. And I feel, I guess, a little bit lucky in the sense that I think a lot of people are coming into grad programs with a lot more experience than I had when I was leaving undergrad, for sure. But I guess the important thing is that when you find it, you keep pursuing more. So yeah, but yeah, that's me.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, this next question is for William. How to approach potential research mentors?
Yeah, so I'd say the number one thing is to look at how their other mentees are doing. You know, there's a chance that you may be special, but more likely than not, like your trajectory is going to look like the other mentees. So if you see these mentees like thriving and getting into, you know, great schools or getting great jobs when they graduate from their PhD, then that's a good sign. If you see them, you know, dropping out, or like transferring to other professors, or if this person isn't graduating a lot of students, which is a sign that people are transferring to other professors, then that's a big red flag. You know, it's hard to just talk with someone and figure out what kind of mentor they're going to be for potentially 5 or 6 years. You know, some people may throw up red flags in that hour, but most professors are going to seem, you know, charming and like exciting and stuff. Also talk to the grad students, and especially talk to the former grad students. If this person has had any people who've dropped out or switched advisors, talk to them and get an idea of what happened. Yeah, and besides that, you know, look at their recent publications to get an idea of what they're thinking about. And, you know, if you're someone who's going to need more of a like in-depth technical collaboration, look for a close match. If not, maybe it's fine that there isn't a close match.
Yep, those are some great points. Thank you. Okay, so let's move to the next question. To Pan, how was your first publication process and what was that experience like?
Okay, yeah. To be honest, the first paper that I worked as a PhD student is actually still an archive preprint. So that's to say, it hasn't been published anywhere after 6 years when I'm about to defend my thesis now. So it was a work on high-dimensional Gaussian graphical models. I really struggled working it out due to lack of experience at that time. So my advisor and my friends helped me a lot, but I finally worked it out, but it had no luck in get published. But I'm grateful for that project, during which I learned a lot of proof techniques and writing skills, which still benefit me today. And I think that is why in my second year, I published my second project at the first try for a top conference. So my takeaway is do not worry too much about when and how you will publish your first project as a PhD. In my case, it did not get published over the years, but you will learn a lot of useful tricks and experience from your first project. Yeah, I think that's it.
Got it. Yes. And I see in the chat that William said that his experience was similar. So Yeah, my own first publication is a technical report. Never got published. Okay, so the next question is to Phu. What pre-doctoral research experiences you think could better prepare a student for graduate study?
So I think, yeah, this year I feel like a lot of research experience matter a lot in applying for PhD programs. So I think it would be helpful to have like some research experience. So if your school have professors or PhD students who can advise you, like don't be afraid to reach out to them and like ask if you can help with their projects. But if you're not from a research focused university, and if you don't really have mentors who can advise you, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So I think that's the reason a lot of people try to do master's program before applying to PhD program, I think, because like they didn't have research experience during undergrad. But I think these days there are a lot of pre-doctoral research residency programs or like industry internship program which focus on research. So I think you can apply to those positions during your undergrad, like for example, do industry internship at some research focused company, which would really help with getting research experience. And yeah, I think those are the main things that you can do to get research experience. For me personally, my university don't really have NLP or like strong research program. So what I did is I work in industry as a research engineer for like a couple of years to gain research experience. And then after that, I applied to a PhD program based on like this experience.
Yeah, great points. Definitely. Okay, so we are running a little bit short on time, but we will get to some of the questions in this round of questions, which have to do with careers in NLP. So this question is to Liz. What is the difference between doing a master's or a master's followed by a PhD or a PhD right after undergrad or gaining experience? So what are the differences in these four different types? Yeah.
Obviously, I think the difference will always vary by person. There's no one right answer. But for me, like a couple of the main differences were like in addition to like having more research experience and having a better sense of what I wanted to do and how to do it, which always just happens with more experience. There are also like some smaller things. For example, in undergrad, maybe for example, in classes or class projects, you're given more of a sandbox to work in. And so even just the small things of like getting set up or like knowing how to get it set up to immediately start working on something new in, for example, the terminal instead of, an IDE or like working with people on a server, collaborating at stuff. There are a lot of things that I think can naturally come by having, for example, done a master's where you're taking classes and doing research projects and maybe starting to collaborate with people more, or working in a research-focused position in industry. And for me personally, not coming from necessarily a computer science background with a ton of research experience in undergrad, both having work experience and then also a master's kind of were really nice transitions into PhD research, in the sense that I got a lot more experience developing and setting things up quickly from work and seeing how things could be used downstream, which made me more interested in, for example, different parts of what I work on now. And then I guess one really crucial thing about a master's, which isn't as relevant necessarily in the US because there aren't as many standalone masters, is that you're kind of doing dual duty in some ways. You're taking classes and getting to do research, but you also have the pressure of balancing those both in the first 2 years. When if you go straight into a PhD, you might be able to do your classes over, the first 3 years, or, you can put off one pesky requirement until it's just the right time. And so, depending on what you're trying to, optimize for, there are totally different reasons that you might want to go immediately into a PhD for different people. So yeah, there's no one right answer, but yeah, for me, I think those were the types of things that I got out of each of these. So I really am glad that I did some work experience and then a master's followed by a PhD, but yeah, that's not necessarily needed for everybody. Yeah.
Yep, thank you for sharing your experience. Okay, I think we have time for just one more question, and then we want to hear from the audience questions. So I'll post this question to Phu. How hard is it to transition from academia to industry, or vice versa? If somebody's not sure about which direction to go, should they start with academia?
I think that would depend on the person also. For me personally, I have only done the transition from industry to academia, and what I did in industry was also like kind of research related, since I was working as a research engineer at a research institute. So it was not very difficult for me to transition. But I think if you're working as a software engineer or something like and related to research, it might be a little bit more difficult to transition from industry to academia, I think. As for academia to industry, I have only done internships and haven't really done any other things, so I'm not sure. But in terms of internship experiences, I don't think it was like difficult to transition, because like a lot of industry labs are also like very focused on research, and yeah, the experience of working at industry internships and university, I find that very similar, except that I think in industry your research might be more like related to what the company is doing and the company's business. So other than that, the research, the experience of doing research is pretty similar, I think. So I don't think it's like very difficult to transition personally, but it might be like different from other people. And I personally like that I started in industry because it gave me like a lot of like experiences, and it make me like kind of sure that I want to like get a PhD first. Because like I think if you go into PhD first and if you don't enjoy your experience, you might be like thinking about what if I go to industry, and you might be sometimes like motivated to quit. So
Gotcha. Thanks. So I think we can transition to questions from Dory or other places in the Q&A. So let me bring those up. Can people see this? Maybe I can make this a bit bigger, the font size. Oops, that's too big. Okay, so, oh good, this has been sorted by number of upvotes, so I'm gonna take those questions that have the highest votes. So one of the questions is, can a low GPA be offset by research experience or publishing? And corollary to that, I guess, is can a high GPA offset little to no research experience? Maybe I can pose this question to Liz.
I mean, I think yes. I think this is always going to hopefully depend a lot on what you want to do and who you're like wanting to work with. And the most important thing is showing that you're interested and able to do what you want to do. I, for example, don't have the highest undergrad GPA, but over time amassed a fair amount of research experience before going to grad school. So I think for me, certainly that does show that, you know, that can be offset, but you know, more than say showing that you have a certain number of publications, just showing that you know, have kind of gained a sense of what's going on in the field and can convey what you'd like to do with it from there. That's probably the most effective thing, though, of course, it's unfortunate that often we'll be judged by these things.
Yeah. Yeah, such is the process. Okay, so the next question is, what are the differences in the application process for a CS NLP master's versus a PhD? Also, what are the differences between doing masters of a, I think we covered this a little bit, but in terms of the application process, maybe, I think Abhilasha, do you mind taking this question?
Oh, sure. So I applied for both PhD and master's programs. And the first time I applied, I actually didn't get into any of the PhD programs I had applied for. I only got into the master's programs. I think it's because I wrote something in my statement of purpose, like my research interests are natural language processing and machine learning, and I would like to work in these areas. So for PhD programs nowadays, unfortunately, they really, I think, expect some amount of research experience, which at the time I did not have NLP research experience. Sorry about that. But for master's programs, since many people who do masters do end up going into industry, I think the research experience can you know, be supplemented by other things like having a good GPA because you're mainly going to be taking classes during your master's. And the differences between doing NLP research as a PhD student versus a master's student, I guess the differences are more in the environment, because PhD students, everyone thinks they're going to stay for 5 years. For master's student, there's always going to be uncertainty and less commitment. So you really have to be like very motivated to make research happen if that's the path you want to go down on. And you have to balance classes at the same time. Yeah, those are the two big things I would say.
Yeah, great points. So I'm going to consolidate two questions I see from in the Q&A from the Zoom Q&A and then here, which are about letters of recommendation. So how do you arrange for 3 letters of recommendation? If you're just a master's student, considering that you can only work with 1 or 2 professors, and then the other question on the Zoom Q&A was about writing. Does it matter if the faculty who are writing the recommendation letters are not people in NLP? I think I can pose this question to William.
Yeah. So definitely the people writing your letters of recommendation, you know, you want at least 1, you know, 2 is great, you know, 3 is even better, but they don't all have to be like people you've done years of research with. It could be someone you did a summer internship with and you did research. It could be someone who you just took a class with and you did really well in that class, and there was like a nice project you did so they can speak a little bit to your like research abilities. Also, I would say that, you know, I mean, there are like network effects of like having a recommender knowing the people you're applying to, but in general, I don't think it really hurts you outside of that if your recommenders aren't in NLP. I think professors are really going to be looking for potential. So even if it's in a related area, you know, I got into a machine learning focused program, and none of my recommenders were in machine learning.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right, I'm going to take one more question here. If I'm interested in more intermediate research, say between NLP and computational linguistics, how do I decide? How do I decide whether to apply for NLP programs in CS departments or computational linguistics programs in linguistic departments? I think I can pose this question to Pan.
Okay, yeah. I'm not doing research in NLP, but I think I have similar situation if I want to work with people doing machine learning or in statistics department, in computer science department, or even in machine learning department in different places. So my general advice is always to, I think that the advisor you want to work with is much more important than the department that you want to be in. So that means you can look at the advisor's research statement and there's publications, and also talk to their students to see what they are doing and do you want to do this kind of research. And regarding the difference between different departments, I think usually it's not that different, but the key point that you want to pay attention to is the course requirement for different departments. You want to know this one, so because otherwise, apart from the course requirements to graduate, you can do any research in any department. Yeah.
Sounds great. Well, I see there are a lot of very interesting and important questions here that we unfortunately do not have the time to get to. So I will pass the baton back to Nelson and Luca, and we will end the Q&A session here. But please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to answer your questions offline as well.
Thank you, Samira. I can wrap it up. So thanks everyone for attending. I'm gonna post in the chat a link to the blog post about this event as well as the next event. So that has information about who's gonna be in the next panel and at what time it's gonna be. That one will focus mostly on experience of grad school in Europe and in Asia. So our panelists are mostly located in Europe and Asia. So if you want a different perspective, definitely I encourage you to attend the one as well. They're going to use the same Dory platform. So if there is a particular question there that you want either to hear another perspective on or hasn't been answered in this session, feel free to keep uploading there and to post extra questions as well. And as Samira mentioned, feel free to reach out to individual panelists as well. And the recording of the video will stay on YouTube in case you want to go back and rewatch some of the answers or see something else in case you missed it. But again, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to all the panelists and moderators and Nelson for being the host.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.